we'll start in a minute. I know Miss Valentina will be here, but we can still get some of the stuff out the way. It's not fair to keep everyone waiting. If we get a quorum, we'll go back and approve all the other stuff.
Yeah, I could definitely open up the meeting, Master Sergeant Davis.
Okay, go ahead, man.
Hold on. Can you give me a second? I can hit record.
Okay, we're not gonna start. We got you, sir.
This meeting will be recorded, just so everyone's aware.
Thank you, Mr. Jaramillo. I call the Skyman's Local School Council June meeting to order. Roll call.
Mr. Jaramillo,
Present.
Ms. Valentine,
Present.
Mr. Keelis, Sergeant Davis present, Ms. Lopez, Mr. Koss, Ms. Russo,
Here.
Mr. De Jesus, Ms. Hernandez,
Here.
Present.
Ms. Rodriguez.
Here.
And I have you, Mr. De Jesus. Ms. Reyes, Mr. Rasco, and the two students, Mr. Colon and Ms. Sanders. We have 7 present. We do not have a quorum. Time now is 5:05 p.m.
Mr. Sergeant Davis, I'm sorry. Norma Lopez is here.
Does that give us quorum?
That does give us a quorum. We have
Great.
8 present.
The next item in the agenda is to approve the agenda as presented.
I second.
Open for discussion. Master Sergeant, I just want to make sure that in the agenda, since I'm driving, I'm having a hard time going back and forth, but I want to make sure that we do have our SRO discussion and vote in the agenda.
Yes, we do. It's at the end, but we can move it up anywhere we want to. So it's there. The discussion is on there. Yes.
If I could, I would like to make some suggestions for changes. Under the principal's report, under new business, Mr. Javier, item number 2, it should read whole school safety plan presentation and not SRO. And for section 8, item 12, it should read whole school safety plan vote, not SRO vote.
Okay.
And then under the budget transfer section, item F does not include the transfer information for the school website.
Okay, I'll put it in when you make the motion, sir.
Mr. Jaramillo, is there any other changes that need to be done? Just say them and then we'll highlight them when those items come up.
No, that's all I have.
Close for discussion. Roll call vote.
Mr. Jaramillo,
Yes.
Ms. Valentine,
Yes.
Mr. Keelis is absent. Sergeant Davis, yes. Ms. Lopez. You there, Mr. Keelis? Mr. Keelis is here now.
I've been here since you called me the first time.
Oh, you must have kept it a secret, sir. Okay. Sergeant Davis here. Ms. Lopez.
Yes.
Ms. Costa is not there. Ms. Russo.
Yes.
Mr. De Jesus.
Yes.
Ms. Hernandez.
Yes.
Ms. Rodriguez.
Yes.
Ms. Reyes is not here. Mr. Rasco is not here. The student's not here. We have 8 yes, no no's. Motion passed 5:08 p.m.
Master Sergeant, the next item in the agenda is to approve the minutes from the last meeting. I know that Master Sergeant sent those to us today.
Was that a motion that was made?
Yes, it was.
Then I'll second that.
Open for discussion.
Yeah, I'd just like to take a second to say thank you to Master Sergeant for the minutes that he keeps. I've been secretary before and I didn't do 1/10 as thorough a job as he has done. So I just want to make sure that that is the amount of time and effort that he puts into those is noted. So I wanted him to know, and I think we should all just indicate our appreciation for that.
Thank you, ma'am.
I echo you, Ms. Russo. Thank you, Master Sergeant. I know that is not an easy role, one that you have taken very seriously and have definitely kept us up to date and made changes as needed. So thank you so much. Truly appreciate you, and it's been an honor to be side by side with you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Close for discussion. Roll call vote.
Mr. Jaramillo,
Yes.
Ms. Valentine,
Yes.
Mr. Keelis,
Yes.
Sergeant Davis, yes. Ms. Lopez,
Yes.
Ms. Russo,
Yes,
Mr. DeSuze, Mr. DeSuze,
Yes.
Ms. Hernandez,
Yes.
Ms. Rodriguez,
Yes.
8 yes, no no's, motion passed 5:10 p.m.
And now we go to public participation.
We have a couple. We have Ms. Reed, she's here, and we also have a letter. So we'll have Ms. Reed go first.
should I just stay here?
If you want to come so they can hear you. If you want to come over, that's that'd be good.
Oh, you got the article, okay. Is this okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So I just really want to thank the local school council and all of its members for your service this year. I wasn't here the whole year, but it seems to me that it was quite a difficult year, even the second semester when I returned. I made my mistakes, and I hope to have learned from them. And if it caused anyone harm or injury, I'm certainly apologetic. I hope we as a school, parents, students, and the community can also learn from our mistakes and go forward. Some of the things I noticed that might be a priority for next year are some of the things that we struggled with this year. Student mental health and how to help the teachers help our students. While sensitivity is important, it is equally important to develop grit in our students. One of my students did a podcast talking about how much drama there is in the school, which leads to fights and conflicts. If our students are not so easily offended, then perhaps there would be harmony and unity in our school. I just had a teacher tell me how she said one thing and the student was offended so easily. So we do have to exercise sensitivity, but we can develop grit and resilience in our students. We are preparing them for the 21st century workforce, where grit and problem-solving skills are imperative. Another priority coming off the pandemic is the unauthorized use of cell phones in the classroom. I don't think there's a teacher in this school who wouldn't agree with me. Parents would text and call their students during class. Other phone calls were made along with texting, playing video games, and watching TikTok.
20 seconds.
Students expressed their belief they could do two things at once, but this is not true. So we have to overcome this problem. Finally, coming off the pandemic, teachers want to be heard. They want to be appreciated. We have requests that go into different departments in the school, like computer repair requests, toner from copy machines, and basic communication from the administration. And we'd like to see that renewed next year.
And that's time.
That's
chair.
Is it okay?
Yeah, it's fine.
Thank you. We teachers had to learn new skills through remote learning because we had to. It was put upon us. Nobody trained us. There was no formal training or professional development, but we did it anyway. We stand on the front lines and can tell you story after story of the manipulations, deceptions, and entrapment teachers endure. And yet we love our students. I love my students. The richest reward is when a student gets it and earns it, and they know it. The light goes on, despite ourselves. There's no greater joy. Ask any teacher, I'm sure they feel the same way. We gladly stand on the front lines and do our best as any imperfect human being can do. So please, for next year, we're looking for leadership that builds trust, unity, and opportunity for all, not just a favored few. We want to build relationship with parents. They are our best allies and our greatest resource. And finally, teachers want to be heard. Please listen to us. We see it every day. Let us participate and let us be appreciated. After COVID and facing death, I am alive and awake. I want to be here and make a difference. I hope to awaken that same drive in our teachers for next year, who will be here and awake. Thank you very much. Also, I want to give you an article on 5 ways to develop growth mindset using gift and resilience. I will either email it to you personally or give it to Sergeant so he can put it in with the minutes.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for your time. Thank you for your service. God bless you all.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
So now we have a letter from Mr. Walter Brisky. I'll go ahead and read the letter for Mr. Walter. It says, hello, LSC, especially STYMET PAC members also on the LSC. He asked, what happened to everyone at the last PAC meeting prior to tonight's meeting? I logged in and it was nothing but silence for 30 minutes and then the meeting went black. It was over. What's going on with the PAC? The PAC event that was being planned for May 2021. I believe May 2022, if I'm not mistaken. And the money the PAC was given to be used this school year. In addition, it's been 3 to 4 months now, and I haven't received a full response to my FOIA request from the LSC in seeking the STYMET PPLC meeting notice, agendas, and minutes for the past 4 school years. I received 4 months worth of combination of PPLC meeting agendas, minutes from Master Sergeant Davis, and he alluded to in his response that Ms. Russo has the rest. Is the rest for this school year or for all 4 years? When will we be getting those documents? What's the issue between the LSC and the STYMET administration in getting these documents for me? I await answers to my question. Thank you, Walter Brisky, community member.
Thank you. Do you have any other public participation?
We can open it up online now. Is there anyone want to raise their hand to speak? No public participation.
Great. So we go to the next item in the agenda, and is the chairperson report. So I don't have a report, but I just want to take this opportunity to thank my fellow council members for an amazing school year. This is a year, as the previous years, where we've had to be resilient, but I think we were resilient. We're ready for the next chapter of all of our lives. I've been honored to be your LSC chair for the past 7 years. This is my last meeting as a STYMET's parent. For some, it may bring many, many joys. For some, may bring some heartaches. And for some, it's like, you'll miss me. But I do want to say, as a community resident in this community for STYMETs, I will continue to be engaged. I will continue to fight for resources for STYMETs and for all our students. My work's not done. I'm a public servant, and I will continue to serve our school community, which includes our teachers, our students, and our broader community. I want to thank everyone for making my experience here at STYMET a success. I've learned from many teachers. I've also become more resilient because of it. And I wish everyone the best of luck. Thank you to Ms. Russo, Master Sergeant Davis, Mr. De Jesus, that have sat here with me in this journey as teacher representative and non-staff. Thank you for always taking the voice of this council back to the school community. You made it easier for us as parents, knowing that we had your support during these years. So best of luck to you. I know you're no longer going to be council members, but continue to be who you are, because you guys are a heart and soul to our school. To Mr. Jaramillo, thank you. Thank you for helping me grow as a leader. Thank you for helping me grow as a parent. I wish you the very best in your new journey. And I know that wherever you go, you'll give it your best. So blessings to you and best of luck. To our new principal coming in, Dr. Volches, best of luck. You have a lot of work ahead of you. You know that. You were put through those pressures through our interview process. But know that me as a community resident, I'm here to help. Wish you the best. And always remember our students first because they are the future of our community. So thank you. That's my report. I appreciate you all. Love you all. And to the parents that stay in this council, you're not alone. We'll support you from afar. Don't give up. Let's recruit 4 more parents that are needed. And I'm definitely going to help with that because this council will continue to be the strong council that has been for the past 7 years. So thank you all and blessings. With that said, we'll go to our reports and we'll go to our athletic report.
Good evening. So quite a few things. First, obviously it is the end of the athletic seasons and we are now in the process of collecting back everything, cleaning everything out, putting things away in preparation for the new season, which will start very quickly. IHSA seasons for fall start August 8th, but there will be contact days throughout July. So before we know it, we will have fall sports already on our campus working out. And so we're preparing for that. But in ending up this season, I want to point out that since we last met, we had the second of 2 CPS City Final track meets hosted on our front campus. That was on May 14th. And once again, we have received nothing but rave reviews, both for our campus, for the organization of the event. Though it was a CPS event, it is due to the diligence and hard work of the Steinmetz track coaching staffs that kept everything moving, organized. We had our security here as well as CPS security, and we had student volunteers. We could not have done without them, setting up the hurdles, taking the hurdles off, etc. So this event reflected what Steinmetz Athletics is, a group of people who truly care about students and about the benefits of sports. So I wanted to say that was even smoother than the first one that we had done. As we saw the end of the seasons, what was really joyous to me was seeing many teams celebrating together. My softball team, for example, had a potluck cookout in the mods lot. Kids brought a ton of food that their parents made, that they made from their cultures, and it was just wonderful. And we invited the parents to come out, which was exciting, and it was really a lovely event. And I know baseball did the same thing on May 23rd. They had an inter-squad game and then a huge celebration. And it's exciting to see that our athletes enjoy each other's company. They enjoy working together and building off of that. And that's something like we'd like to continue to see go on as we move forward. As we look forward to the new seasons, fall teams are already holding recruiting meetings, cheerleading, volleyball, football, summer basketball is already going to be having, I think they've had their tryouts and they will be having a league to prepare for their season in the winter. We are having difficulties filling vacancies. There are quite a few coaching vacancies, and we're hoping to be able to find in-house is always our first choice. But after that, we look within CPS, and after that, we can look from outside. We would prefer to have people that are on site so that they're here with our students, but that's not always the case. We're also looking to try and start up water sports again. It is sad to me that we have a pool that we have worked very hard to maintain, and we do not have coaches who are trained and certified in WSI and are able to and interested in coaching both swimming and water polo. So that is something that I am actively looking toward. We're also at this point putting together the schedules for fall bus requests already, because if we don't request buses now, we won't get them. we've got our football schedule, and we know that our homecoming date will be Friday, September 30th. So just for those of you who love to come out, that is our scheduled date against Schurz. So we're working on that, and we're also working on our budget for 22-23. We are in good shape because we have been given most of what we have needed over the years, but there's always the need for replacements of items that are year to year. So we're looking for that. Just to give you an idea of what it costs for buses this year for athletics alone, it was close to $32,000 just for buses. And that is not, I mean, there were many times we couldn't even get a bus. Kids had to self-travel or we had to ask for parent help. And that's not because we didn't have the money, it's because it's impossible to find buses. So CPS, Sports Administration, is aware of that, but not much can be done. AD, athletic director positions are changing throughout CPS, and I don't know what that means for next year. I am hoping to maintain the position as athletic director. I don't know that to be a fact, but I'm hoping that that will be the case. And if that is, Coach Lefty and I have talked about this. What we want to do is continue to work with our students the way we have, but to hold them to even higher standards. Where we have checked grades every week, we now want to be on them for attendance. If as AD I have a reduced class load, which they say is what's going to happen, I want to actually be visiting kids in their classrooms, checking to make sure that they're there, making sure that they have turned in paperwork, or letting them know that they won't be part of the team. So we really want to continue, while we appreciate all the work that our athletes do, we want to make sure that they are held to a higher standard because they represent not just themselves, but an entire team and an entire school. If in fact I continue as AD, I just want to let this council know that it is my intent to come back to meetings as a public speaker, just to participate and let you know what's going on, because I think it's important that everyone is aware of what's happening with our athletic programs, because they are such an important part of the life of a school. So I thank you for listening to me for all these months and years. And as always, I welcome questions that you might have about athletics.
Thank you so much, Ms. Russo. Continue the great work. It's right back to you for teacher
It's right back
report.
to me, so now you gotta listen to me some more. Sorry about that. First, I'd like to say thank you for my participation on the council, and I wish all of the best to those who are taking over, the staff members who will be coming in, Ms. Dunn, Mr. Caputi, and Mr. Rodriguez. I wish them well. I know that they have the same intentions that we have had, which is to serve our school. And I look forward to seeing what they can do. And I think that that's going to be wonderful. I thank all of you parents, community members, and my coworkers, my colleagues for all your hard work. And Mr. Jaramillo, of course, for everything that you have done for the school. That said, a couple of things. As a senior teacher, and I'm sure the underclass teachers just went through this as well, there was a massive push at the end for kids to get their work done so that they could pass. And it was frustrating in many ways to see kids that had not done much for months suddenly show up and say, what can I do? And of course, as our job as teachers is to do whatever we can to help them. But there has to be something as we move forward where we are, again, holding them to a higher standard earlier on, so that we're not having this last minute belief that you can do 20 weeks worth of work in a week. It just isn't possible. And while we want to make sure that our students pass, that is not the only thing that's important. It is learning the skills and showing the dedication and work. And so we need to make sure that we're looking at that as we go forward. Things that I would include, all students should be daily checking Google Classroom. All students should be checking their email, their student email every day. This is something that should be used across the board in all classes. Students need to be learning how to send emails. This is a part of life, whether they go to college or not, and it just needs to be something that is addressed. And for kids to say they don't know what's going on in their classes is absurd, because teachers post almost everything. And if they're missing anything, it's because they don't go to class. So these are things that we need to consider. I think there's also a need for us to get parents correct emails into every Google Classroom. Mine, Master Sergeant's, and the ones for each year group, class of 2023, so that every piece of information that goes to our students goes to the parents as well. And so if we can figure out how to do that, maybe the parents on the council, the new staff members, the community, we all need to work together to figure out the best ways to communicate. Because once we get that, we rule out a lot of the problems. And we also need to make sure that parents are checking portal. They have 24/7 access to their students' grades. So there should never be a surprise when their child is not performing as they should. So we really need to make sure that everyone knows that that's out there and that teachers are updating their grades so that parents know what's going on. Better communication between parents and teachers, parents and school, and those are important things that I think are coming up. I do want to make a couple of quick comments to Ms. Reed's earlier comments. She is right that we definitely need to be thinking about the mental health of our students, and I appreciated that Mr. Hathorn did send out an email survey today asking for what help is needed with the from the behavioral team, saying, are you using social emotional activities? Do you feel like you don't know how? Hopefully this is leading to future PD so that we can continue to serve our students' needs. We know that they have issues and we want to be able to serve them as best we can. On the other side, though, to say that we need professional development about tech, I would agree. But at the same time, I remember when we were in remote, the very beginning, Mr. Svelny's put on some really great demonstrations about things that we could use, and I appreciated those. So I just want to make sure that it's noted that while we did not have a ton of professional development this year, when we first went to remote, I wouldn't have known how to use any of those different things that I ended up using, Flipgrid and Pear Deck and all those kinds of things had we not been shown. So I do appreciate those. I don't want to talk about these too much because I'm sure Mr. Jaramillo will bring them up, but I want to say that this year's senior events were spectacular. Our senior awards ceremony on May 24th was outstanding. We had more parents and staff and students than I expected. Just to give you a recap, 234 of our seniors received at least one award. I believe that is 82% or something to that effect of our senior class. That means that our staff saw something special in the vast majority of our students, and a large number, I believe it's 30 teachers, nominated students for awards, which is pretty spectacular. 63 of those were diverse learners, which is 27% of them. 60 of them were ELL students, and 26 of those students were both ELL and diverse learners. So you can see that these awards were issued to students of all types for all different things, not just for academic achievement, but for anything that a staff member, and not just teachers, any staff member found value in for those. And I appreciate the parents and the students who came out to pick up those awards. Thank you for those who came out for grad night. Ms. Valentine, thank you for coming out with your husband and Mr. Valentine. It was a lot of fun. We had 150 people going to grad night, which was an overnighter at Six Flags. It was a really crazy day. The night before, I had taken my softball team to a White Sox game. The next day, I worked a track meet, and then we did an overnighter. So it was a crazy weekend, but the kids had a really, really good time. And so I appreciate everybody who helped out with that, including all the staff volunteers. There were over 218 students at prom, and it was lovely. A lot of work went into it, and a very diversified group of people worked on different parts of it. So I don't want to name all of them in case Mr. Jaramillo does, but it was a really lovely event. We had almost 150 people at the senior luncheon on June 1st. And I just thought that the graduation ceremony was really, really lovely. I guess they got lucky because it started raining after, managed to hold off during, but it was really a very well-run, very organized, very joyous. I was at the ticket gate with Mr. Washington, and every parent who came through just was beaming. And it's so happy to see the pride of the parents, and that they're going to leave Steinmetz with such a positive image of something really, really great. So as we move forward, I hope that that all teachers, I know Ms. Reed said she wanted teachers to be heard, so I hope that the teachers will come out to these meetings. If they want their voices to be heard, they need to be here, they need to know what's going on. We've said this before, and I hope it becomes a truth that people come out and say what they need to say and communicate, because communication is key. So that's my teacher report.
Thank you so much. Master Sergeant Davis?
Again, like Ms. Russo, I'd like to thank everyone here for all they've endured over the last couple of years, whether it's 7 years, 1 year. The efforts are known and they're appreciated. I would like to say, I'm not going to go through everything that Ms. Russo went through, but I will say that finding commonality amongst everyone in a place where we all have a passion for our kids should be something easy to do, but we have shown that it's a really hard task for adults. And sometimes I get to a point where I feel that we have a higher standard for our kids than we do for ourselves. But in the face of disagreement, I think that when we find that passion for what we do, we can find collaboration. I've never been more disappointed in my life in an organization where we have to set an example for students, and we failed multiple times to a point where we have likes and dislikes, and our students suffer because of communication and lack of communication with those things. We have a lot of work to do for the remainder of this year, a lot of work to do over the summer, and I think if we don't put those differences aside, it's going to come to hunt us back next year. So I think that we need to find out, what do we value, what are we loyal to, and I think that if we find what we're supposed to be loyal to, and that's our students and everything else, then personalities and things won't matter, because we always had a focal point, and we can always come there and have a start point of agreement and a start point of discussion. And these debates would be just that. It wouldn't be based on likes and dislikes. Parent communication is key, as Ms. Russo stated. I definitely think that we miss a lot of opportunities to communicate with our parents using all of we talked about emails with parents. Yes, those are important. Phone calls with parents. And most of the emails are not there. I know we do newsletters. All calls with parents. Definitely, we have a lot of things going on at this school. It's a beautiful school outside. There's some remodeling need to be done on the inside. Not the remodeling on the infrastructure, but the remodeling of the individuals in the school. We have a lot of work to do. Definitely, I go back and look at, doing some of the all calls when it relates to parents. We have too many great communications asset, in our hands that we don't use all of them. Some parents have email, some parents don't check it. Some parents look at Facebook. Some parents don't have Facebook. They look at the newsletter, and sometimes when the newsletter has the same style, they think it's the same thing, and they don't go to certain points. And I think we're doing a good job. But there was a book I read, Good to Great. Sometimes we celebrate good so much that we don't even attempt to go to great. And I think that we need to start looking past good and get to great, and our students to succeed for those things. Yes, students came the last 2 weeks, and they made it through the last 2 weeks. The issue I have with that is when you look at students, and I can tell you that, data and most of the students I've seen get in trouble, they leave the school with a diploma, happy and celebrating, but they realize that the diploma they received was a gift. And when you don't earn certain things, you end up being one of those students that get in trouble. You end up one of those students not having, guidance in your life. There's so many things that you leave more of your knowledge in the seat than you do is you taking out of the school. And we have to be careful and holding students responsible. And I've said this throughout my time here at this school. You can't let students leave here not being responsible. We said the word resilience, and I was talking to a parent today, our students are resilient, more than so than us. And what I mean by that in a negative way, they said they're not going to come to class, they don't come to class. They said they're going to be in the hallway, they stay in the hallway. And guess what happens? We are the ones that changing our standards in order to have them pass. Yes, I want to see our students pass, but I want to see our students earn it. And the students that are doing things every day to exceed beyond the call, they have to lower their standards in order to get attention. We spend so much time, and which we should, on those students that have those issues in order to get them to graduate, but we're not paying enough attention to those students that excel, and we have to do a better job at those things and making sure all students are recognized. And that's why when we start talking about having, incentive for these students throughout the year, we have to do those things. And they can't all have the same thing. Everyone getting, award, maybe a different value award. We did have our award ceremony, ROTC. I was also disappointed in that as well. And I know I'm saying I'm disappointed because our students didn't receive the just place. I asked to be in the big gym, and I was going to talk to an individual, but I go to the big gym, and that's like 20 kids in the big gym, and we go into the small gym. And those parents that was there, you understand how hot that small gym was. This is what I'm talking about, not being able to work together. But the graduation ceremony, it was great. I think some of the issues that I hear some of the parents say when we was at the graduation ceremony, that they found out that day they was given 3 tickets. We have to do better with those things. Yeah, they tell the students, but when we talk about better communication, we're the ones not communicating. We're the ones not doing our call. So we have to do everything in our part. We don't know if the phone calls are great. There's parents that didn't have seats. I had students stay after. They stayed here till like 2:30, bringing all the chairs in. And definitely those students should be recognized. They definitely support the school. Definitely those students that went to the prom, they had a great time at the prom. Yeah, we have all those things there. But we have to remember the foundation of this building is education. And if we don't get back to the business of educating our students, then the parties and all those things, they're going to find those things. And so I hope we can get there. Getting the students to school, getting the students in class, getting parents engaged. I think that we can celebrate. We had, I don't know how many students graduate the other day out of them. I think here 13 probably didn't make it or whatever. But how many of those students left here with an high school education that is at a 12th grade level? We have to do a better job. So I'm torn with my celebration, but I am happy, working amongst, everyone here. And I think that if we can commit to our students, commit to each other for our students, then, we can get better, not just for the rest of the school year, but for the new administration. So again, thank you everyone for all you've done. Thank you for your support. And I know that the individuals coming to the meeting now, hopefully you can continue to come throughout the new school year.
EPLC.
ESP. I'll let you-
I'm sorry, non-teacher report. No.
Short and quick from me, I'd like to echo a lot of what Master Sergeant and Ms. Russo said when it comes to, holding kids accountable. That's one of my big things. And I'll just use my football team as an example. When her son is one of the kids that I had to hold accountable for things like I do with every student here. I'm a pretty down-to-earth guy with the kids for the most part, and I try to hold them accountable as much as I can. And if a lot of us are preaching different methods of education, not just academically, it's a little difficult. So I think we need to work more together when it comes to what lesson we're trying to give these kids, because at the end of the day, when these kids graduate from here, myself included, we're going to be in the community as well. Some of us working at your local Target or working at your local high school, myself as the example. So I try to teach them that to be part of the community, to be a respectful member of the community, as well as in here, and be responsible for things academically, not only, permission slips for prom or luncheon or whatever. We got to hold them accountable, because life is going to hold them accountable, and they're not going to be given a second chance in a lot of the things. So a lot of these decisions that they're making, they're going to have certain consequences, whether the consequences are positive or negative. So it's one of the big things that I'd like to echo that Ms. Russo and Master Sergeant said. And to you guys here, to everybody on the screen, I want to thank you so much, because you guys have opened my eyes a lot to a different side of high school, a different side of education, because I never knew that an LSC took so much and has so many things that have to be decided for our kids to receive certain things that they get, programs or books or whatever it may be. We just think that it just gets done. We don't realize the people that are doing the work behind closed doors. And this committee has opened my eyes a lot when it comes to that. So I truly appreciate it. I have grown a lot being a part of this committee, and a lot of the knowledge that I'm going to take with me, I'm going to go ahead and pass it on to Mr. Rodriguez that's taking my position now. Again, thank you, Mr. Jaramillo. Thank you for everything. You already know I've been here for, I want to say 11 and a half, maybe 12. I don't remember how many years, but I've grown so much under you as a person and as an educator while you were a principal, assistant principal, and all that. So I appreciate everything that you've done for me. Ms. Valentin, we have a relationship when it comes to both your sons as well. You and your husband are, if I ever become a father, I hope that I can be as good as you guys are as parents. But again, short and sweet, ESPs are trying to make it through for the rest of the year. We do have a couple things planned for the kids that we're trying to liven up the end of the school year a little bit, so they can continue to come and be here. We are still receiving a lot of kids who still need a little bit of SEL work, which I've noticed a lot more now, because of people being absent or whatever. So kids are starting to gravitate towards us a little bit more because they're still needing that, and I feel that they understand that the year is coming to an end. So a lot of that support that they have here in the building is going to be lacking for a little bit, for a couple weeks or a couple months, whatever it might be. So we're trying to give them as much time with them as possible, so they can take some of that with you until they get back in August. But ESPs are all good. Thank you so much.
Ms. Valentin, you can do the PAC report.
Yeah, I just noticed that.
On the screen.
And I think something happened to everyone. Is everyone there?
There it
Oh,
is.
okay. We thought we lost you. So before PPLC, I did skip the Parent Advisory Council. And I could report on that. I echo, and I'll let Ms. Rodriguez, she was our secretary, add any other items. But for our Parent Advisory Council, as much as we tried, it didn't work out. We tried to organize this committee many times. Many times we didn't have participation. When we did and were able to create a committee, other obligations got in the way. So I know this is the second year that the PAC will probably be losing all of the funding for funds that could have gone back to parents and to help with some of the culture and climate that's going on and academically to our students. So I just, again, a message to parents, right, that hear and are online, that are active. PAC is an important function of our school, and we need to do better. So I'm wishing luck to the next administrator and the next parent group, that they're able to get this committee going and use the funds accordingly. I will also say with this committee, we should use our resource partner, Northwest Center. They work with parents all the time. Maybe they could help recruit and bring people on board. I know that our committee felt the lack of support towards the end of our admin in regards to PAC. So there was many frustrations. So Ms. Rodriguez, thank you for trying and being the secretary, bringing us together. Sorry if we fell short to the parents and the PAC this year. So I don't know if Ms. Rodriguez has anything else you would like to add.
Thank you, Ms. Valentin. Yes, I do actually. I'm a bit disappointed that the PAC didn't continue on. I know that I did resign from the PAC for a couple of reasons. I didn't feel the support from administration in the meetings. You know, we need administration in order to give the green light on some of these events. They know their calendar. They know the things that we can and cannot do. And we kept having these special meetings with no guidance. And I resigned for that reason. I was left to take ownership of meetings. I couldn't record the meetings. At times, some of the members didn't join in, didn't show up. I had no agenda and I was blindsided at times. And that I was really disappointed when I was sent what I call on a wild goose chase, looking for vendors for 2 weeks. Not looking for vendors, but reaching out to, I believe her name, correct me if I'm wrong, Pam Price, asking her for what vendors are CPS approved. And I did this for 2 weeks. When I finally reach her, she tells me, you need to tell me the vendors. So I'm new to I was new to the PAC, but there's other members that were not. And the administration clearly has experience, and they could have saved enough time. I think had there been a collective effort to keep the PAC running, and there was enough important shit on the PAC that they would have said, hey, we can use these vendors, or these vendors we've used in the past. Check with Pam Price to see if these vendors, with a list already provided, if we can use them, if they're available, if they're still certified. But I was, again, blindsided, and I ended up resigning. I mean, it was just so disappointing and discouraging all around. I felt like there's really no desire for a PAC. And after I resigned, seeing that the PAC fell through, I'm really disappointed, because the funds could have been obligated and the event could have taken place later on, even in the summer. So as a parent, I'm disappointed, because it's proven time and time again that engagement with parents is just not on the top of the list. And we are stakeholders in our children's education. So, and as a PAC member, I really would have loved to have seen an event take place. So it was just disappointing all around.
Thank you, Ms. Rodriguez. There's no other comments. We'll go to PPLC.
Okay, so I'm gonna take that one on. First, we did meet this morning, and I do wanna apologize to Mr. Bresky. I was unaware that you had asked for all of the minutes, and I'm not officially the secretary, so we will work to get those put together. So I apologize for that, but I did take notes today, knowing that I would be reporting at this meeting, so those minutes can be forwarded on. That said, I want to echo two things that were said. Master Sergeant said we have a lot of work to do, and Ms. Valentine said we can do better. And I would say that those two things were the themes of this morning's meeting. Those two ideas were what all of the staff members that were there brought up. I want to start with, there were sort of two divisions of types of comments. Some that are definitely geared toward what's going on right now, and some that we would just like to have on record, even though the current administration won't be here to see them through in the future. We do want to make sure that these things are discussed, and that the council and other people hear what are things that we are definitely going to need if we're going to be successful going forward. So starting with the problems that can be addressed for right now, the first issue that came up was the idea of Chromebooks. There was not a clear plan as to how or if Chromebooks were going to be collected from the students. There was quite a bit of confusion about that, and when one staff member asked, she was given an answer of, I don't know. So we did get an email that said that students are to keep them. Obviously the seniors return theirs, but they're to keep them unless they are broken and need repair, they should turn them in. But the question that was raised was, what if parents don't want to be responsible for them over the summer? Why were parents not given the option of choosing to keep them or choosing to return them? So that was an issue that was definitely brought up and needs clarification quickly, because we're running out of school days. Monday and Tuesday are the last days that the kids will be here. So if they are to turn them in, if they don't want to be responsible for them for the summer, when, how, and where would they do those? There were also questions about Go Guardian, though we think those are more legal issues. We're not using actively, we've not been trained in Go Guardian. but it was brought up, and it is something to contemplate for next year, whether or not we wish to use GoGuardian, which is a way for teachers to be able to monitor what students are doing on those Chromebooks, so that if you're sitting in a class of kids, you can see which kids are doing their actual work and which ones are chatting or doing something that they shouldn't be. A lot of schools do use this, and there was concerns about if kids kept them over the summer, would anybody be monitoring what they were doing? I suspect not, but there is that possibility, and so it's just something that was brought up. It was also brought up that many schools, their principals have published organizational charts, including positions and vacancies. And members were wondering why that hadn't been done at Steinmetz, so that we would know where there are vacancies in what positions, what subject matters, et cetera. And so they were wondering when, if, and why that wasn't done already here. There was also a question of subbing equity. For those of you unfamiliar, we are, as teachers, asked when there is not a substitute available, we are asked to cover another teacher's classes during a particular period. Mine is first period. Master Sergeant, I don't know, what period do you have?
Sixth.
Sixth. So the question arose, first period was called on far less often, for example, to cover other people's classes than fifth and sixth period. And this inequity of amount of time that teachers were asked to give up their prep periods caused some discord amongst staff. It seemed unfair that one teacher would have to give up 4 prep periods over the course of the year and others more than 10. And so the question arose, would there be any kind of compensation, particularly in time returned for the amount of time that was put in for covering other people's classes? And often, at the last moment, you would be getting an announcement, Master Sergeant, come to the office. When you got that announcement, you knew you were covering somebody's class. So that was brought up. There was a question, a member had heard that some principals had received funding to repay teachers for time missed during the work stoppage. So on those days that we were out for the work stoppage, the question was money allocated by CPS to be able to do that? If so, how did we use it? Did we use it? And was it equitably distributed? So that is a question that was brought up. Was that something that really happened? Also, there's questions as to what the plan is for the last 2 days, not the student days, which are Monday and Tuesday, but the staff days, which are Wednesday and Thursday of next week. Nothing has been said about how those will be spent. There were questions as to why there are CPS network trainings that exist, but we were not informed of. People in the ILT found out or were forwarded information after those opportunities for trainings had already passed. And so what happened with that, and why was there not more notification, giving the opportunity, as the members of the PPLC said, we want training, we want more information, we want to be up on things. So why was that not done? And then just to go back to something that Master Sergeant, his specific situation, there needs to be professionalism between staff members. When one staff member requests a space that is clearly for the good of the students, we need to be willing to work together and be understanding that sometimes we have to adjust for what is better for the students. And it can't be about personalities, or I think, as you put it before, likes or dislikes. It has to be about what's good for the students. So those are some things that are the immediates. For the record, as we move forward, these were some of the other issues that were brought up. There's going to need to be further clarification about gender allocation for bathrooms. I know that is a CPS mandate, but we've been finding students in the same stalls in bathrooms of different genders, and we have to find a way to make sure that students understand what these guidelines are when we post papers from CPS that say, use the bathroom you feel comfortable with. So that just doesn't mean that you can be wherever you want. There was discussion of we need further recruiting to be able to bring more students from our feeder schools into Steinmetz. We need calendars that are complete from the very beginning of the year so that we know when things are. People can plan, events do not overlap. We can allocate space and reserve them as needed. There needs to be more in-service for the writing of IEPs and a request that when we schedule them, they are not stacked or all at once so that teachers can prepare adequately for those. Questions arose about how STEAM will be run next year. Again, that's not really something if we're talking about next year, but it is something that we want on the record. We have a STEAM program. We want to make sure that it is used not just for art classes, but for any class that wants to utilize those facilities.
Yep.
How do we go about doing that?
That's
How will
key.
that space be allocated? I hate to throw this one at you, but there was some comments about our music that's played. We thought initially it was the music between periods, which we can easily replace, but somebody commented that they get a little too hyped up in the morning depending on what you play in the hallway. I'm just reading what they wrote. There is also a need for further English language learners training, both the WIDA and the CANDOs, and I'm sure that that will be something that will come up. The request was that we have a well-equipped teacher workroom and that we make sure that all department offices are fully functioning, both with copiers, with toner, with printers, with computers that work so that teachers have what they need and they're not running around trying to find a working printer or a phone to use, so we want to make sure that that's something. And then we need to have a real legitimate mentoring program for new staff members. We have a lot of new teachers, not just young teachers, but some that come in here and they're not really being given real guidance as to not only how things are done, but checking in. How are you doing? Do you understand what's going on? Do you need something? Do you want just to vent? That is something that is very important if we're looking to maintain teachers and other staff long-term. And going back to what was stated earlier, this concept of, this is the most important, I think, is this concept of us building relationships with each other where we are all on the same team. A staff member came in this morning to my office after the PPLC meeting, very upset, and said she's tired of trying to walk a line where she is not perceived as being on this side or on this side. Right? There shouldn't be sides. We should be all Team Steinmetz. End of story. And so this is the number one thing that we as a staff, as a community, have got to stop thinking about is, oh, I don't like that person is linked to that person. That's got to go away. As this person said, she said, I can't go on feeling this way every day. It's too much. And in addition to everything that goes on in your regular day with kids, with just the regular burdens of teaching, which we love what we do, but you can't keep adding these layers that weigh us down. It's got to stop. It's got to stop because otherwise we can't work together and we can't achieve anything. And no one should go home crying at the end of the day, wondering, did I offend this person who's now going to say something to this person who's now going to... We don't have time for that. And so I appreciate that this person was willing to talk to me about it. And I felt for her because we've all felt that way on any given day. We've got to be all Team Steinmetz. That's, I mean, as a coach, that's how I would put it. We've got to be Team Steinmetz. And that's where the PPLC was this morning. And there was a lot said. People didn't want to leave the meeting because there was a lot to say. And we do have, as Ms. Valentine said, the new administration is going to have their hands full. They truly are. There's a lot to do. But I think this is the number one thing if we're going to move forward, is that we really have to reflect and just decide that we're all going to work together.
Thank you. That was a good meeting. I wish I would have been.
It was, there was a lot going on, yes.
Do you need are you?
Oh, no, we
adding
was gonna say,
anything?
she was the presenter today.
Yeah.
But I was the presenter. If I
Yeah,
missed
it
anything,
was
please by
very
all means
thorough.
jump in.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. And I think, you know, as we move forward, that's really great feedback, right, for our new admin. So if it could be typed up, right?
Yeah, oh, I
present
It is.
it
I
as
think
a
the only other
presentation.
thing that we mentioned, and Ms. Russo can say, that we talked about lines of decision making.
Yes.
Keeping, when we make decisions in the future, are we making them for this administration, for next administrations, and where are those at? Just like we have some of those decisions we have to make today when it comes to putting teachers in position, those things. So that communication, that transition with the next administration, hopefully that start to take place and shape. So we're making these decisions, we're making the best decision based on the leadership that's coming here as well.
Awesome. Thank you. I appreciate that. Community report. No.
What do you mean? I'm not trying to be rude.
We should.
We really should know what the community's thinking and saying and doing. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like their reaction to.
Mr. Keelis?
Still up.
Is he on there?
He might not be on. That's okay. I was just curious.
No, he fell off.
He fell off. Facilities and grounds.
We done doing the principal report.
We'll go straight into our principal report.
All right, thank you. For the beginning of the principal's report, I would like to give the beginning to Mr. Javier, who's been patiently waiting on the line. At his request, he's reached out to LSC members and he's requested an opportunity to talk about the MTSS PD consideration, the budget funding transfer, which was denied last meeting. So I'd like to give him that opportunity to go ahead and explain a little bit more about MTSS.
Thank you, Mr. Harmio. And hello, everyone on the council. Yeah, for MTSS, it stands for Multi-Tiered Systems of Support, and it's a program that's run through a lot of, I think, every CPS school. Next year, we're going to be one of the focus groups for MTSS district-wide, so they're selecting a few different schools. This year, I've been working a lot closely with Tony DeMello, who is the district coordinator, and so we're selected. She understands that we're under transition in terms of leadership, and so we're in a unique position. I know the discussion at I think a couple meetings ago centered on who would get to go on these trainings, and who would it be for? Is it for the teachers that are staying behind? What about the teachers who are leaving? How does that factor in? I just want to put it very, very simply. This PD that we would be securing would be for the students. It would be directly in helping the students. It doesn't benefit anybody who's leaving. The people who are leaving will not be attending any of the trainings, especially at this point of the year. But what it does is it secures training, and it locks in a relationship with the Illinois MTSS network, which came highly recommended by Tony DeMello herself, who runs the MTSS program. And so I had begun conversations with them a few months ago, and we were looking forward to trying to get some training for our current MTSS core team. And the hope was that we could get training for them starting in fourth quarter, so that they can begin some of that work, and then support the next admin as whatever their decision is on who they choose for an MTSS coordinator and who they would choose for an MTSS core team, so that they can get a head start into planning for next year. One of the issues that we ran into this year was that we came on pretty late in the summer. And so we really didn't get into PD and training, at least for the coordinator. That's myself, and even with our core team. And so I spent a lot of the first semester working with, like I said, Tony DeMello and other people in the network to try to learn the position and then assess the school. which was according to the plan that Mr. Jaramillo and I believe actually members of this council and the incoming administration were part of in writing the CIWP, the expectations for. So yeah, I'm requesting that the LSC would review that decision that was made, I believe a month or two ago, because repositioning that funding will secure PD for Ms. Scaleri, who just popped in here, and other people who are on the Mr. DeJesus and other people who are on the on the MTSS core team that would continue to next year. It would be a really big benefit to the incoming administration. I think having a team that understands the school well, that has time to train over the summer, will really help a lot into a lot of the issues that were raised in this meeting, and I know in previous meetings as well, in terms of communication, in terms of being on the same page and impacting a lot of, I think, teacher and building culture and climate and faculty culture and climate as well. I think that was a lot of information. So if there's questions and we can have a back and forth, that would be more helpful. I think we want to do that.
Thank you, Mr. Javier. I as a parent, I personally want to take the time to say thank you. This is not the first meeting you have attended in this school year since taking this role. You've been very active. I'm very saddened to see you go for leaving at the same time, so that makes me sad. I know that you are very motivated about this work and you've put a lot of efforts. I want to be clear. So right now we are not part of the network. By doing this training, we will become more part of the network with that team.
Yeah. So first of all, thanks, Ms. Valentine. I think it's been great working with you all. Currently, we're not connected to the Illinois MTSS network, so they're statewide, and they provide a lot of coaching, and so they would come alongside us as coaches for our team for the next year, and that would be really powerful because let me just say I shared this with a couple of individuals who are asking about it. I think that are in the call, but this is a great group of people. The Illinois MTSS network, they met up with me. They went through our CIWP. I believe Master Sergeant Davis was one of the writers of that, as well as Dr. V and Mr. Jaramillo. They went through that whole document with me. They spent many multiple hour meetings with me, and I let them know at the very outset of our initial meetings that, hey, this funding isn't set yet. They continued to meet with me over 2 weeks, and I think my heart, even though I'm leaving, is still for the kids. My last day isn't until Tuesday, and even now I'm trying to advocate now because I think we would be connecting to a group that really works hard, and that goes above and beyond. And they weren't even on the clock. They weren't even contracted yet. So I really do want to get those great people connected with our great people, and I think once again that's to the kids' benefit.
I have a question, Mr. Javier.
Yeah.
So one of the things you said is intriguing. You said whoever they will choose. You're talking about the new administration. So my only issue, and I say again, I said this the last time, is I think instead of just identifying individuals, I think that it's best to just, if this is passed, I think it's best to pass it with the agreement that the new administration is involved in picking those teachers, because if you say whoever they may choose and we automatically send individuals to this meeting that person may not want, and I think they may trust the individuals on there, their ability to recommend, but I still think that it's not too early to allow that influence in, especially when this person had to work with those individuals. So definitely, I think that, professional development is always something good to do, but it can also, be wasteful if we don't put the right people in the planning process. And so however, I do agree with the professional development. I think that my issue is, that if these are not the same individuals that's going to be surrounded around the team, then that's an issue. And I think that just to approve this with the understanding that the new administration would approve the final list. That's just my thought.
Yeah, thanks, Mr. Sergeant Davis. Yeah, in terms of who would be on that, that's above my pay grade, and I won't be around to dictate who that is. The great thing about this approval, the decision we're making here, would be we would basically be contracting them. They're actually not billing us per person that we put on there. They're billing us per for I believe you guys had the document on it, but it's 15 hours of PD and training for our staff over the summer. So that doesn't include some of the online meetings that they'll be having as well. And so I don't think they put a cap on the number of people going. I've been going off of the understanding. Remember when I suggested this, we had an existing core team, but that as of next Tuesday, that everything's up in the air. So I completely agree with you, Sergeant Davis, that it's important who goes. I have spoken to each of the members who are on the current team, and they do see the value of this, and they would be willing to go to it, even if they're not on it next year, to be able to assist in the transfer of knowledge, which I think is, just speaks to their character. And so if there are other people who, the incoming administration have in mind, I don't think there would be a fight to say, no, you can't be on that. I hope that clarifies.
Yes,
Mr. Javier, what's the timeline for the training? When will be the first training? Is it already scheduled, or that's something that gets scheduled further on?
No, so actually, I had ceased communication with the Illinois MTSS network since the last LSC meeting. They had already done work overtime, I guess. They had spent a lot of time, and so I just let them know I wasn't sure if and when a next meeting would occur. So basically, if this gets passed, I would have to reinitiate those, which could be. I don't think it's a big issue. We could still. So what I'm saying is that's flexible. I couldn't give you like a solid date or times, but they're willing to work with us on that. Oh, sorry, I can't. I think you guys are muted.
Oh, Master Sergeant. So I just asked if any other council members had any questions or any other comments. This is an item in the agenda, so I am going to go ahead and move forward in making a motion to transfer the unspent ESSER funding to provide multi-tier system of support, the MTSS training for staff.
Norma seconds the motion.
Okay, open for discussion.
I would like to make an amendment to I know you already made this, but I would like to make an amendment to the motion to say for the new administration to select those individuals. I have input.
Okay. You're the secretary, make sure you're right there.
It has to, we have this other motion, you have to change it.
I'll go back out and make a new motion.
Good.
Close for discussion. We gotta vote for this one and then do a new motion. Close for discussion, roll call vote.
Mr. Jaramillo,
Abstain?
Ms. Valentine,
No.
sorry, Ms. Keelis,
Yeah,
Rosie doesn't.
Sergeant Davis, no. Ms. Lopez,
No.
I don't get, so. we're
Mr.
going to go
Cos?
For the first one to go back and do it a second.
Ms.
time.
Russo,
No.
Mr. De Jesus,
No.
Ms. Hernandez,
No.
Ms. Rodriguez,
No.
Ms. Reyes is not here, Mr. Roscoe is not here, Mr. Colon is not here, and Mr. Reyes. We have one abstain, one yes, 7 no's, motion failed. It's 6:18 p.m.
So I'm making a motion, the second motion for the same item, to transfer the unspent for the SSER, funding to provide multi-tier system support, training for staff with input of the new administration of stipends.
I second.
Open for discussion. Close for discussion. Roll call vote.
Mr. Jaramillo,
Yes.
Ms. Valentine,
Yes.
Mr. Keelis,
Yes.
Sergeant Davis, yes. Ms. Lopez,
Yes.
Mr. Costa's not here. Ms. Russo,
Yes.
Mr. De Jesus,
Yes.
Ms. Hernandez,
Yes.
Ms. Rodriguez,
Yes.
Ms. Reyes not here, and other members not here. We have 9 yes, no no's. Motion passed 6:19 p.m.
Thank you
All
so
right, thank you very much, everybody. So the next part of the principal's report, it also belongs to Mr. Javier. He will be presenting on the whole school safety plan. So I will give the floor to Mr. Javier.
Have 1 second as I just bring up my stats. All right, everyone. Just want to just review the whole school safety data review that we went through. And so we went through all.
I'm sorry, Mr. Javier. I'm sorry to interrupt.
Okay.
Are you trying to present anything on the screen?
No.
Okay, just making sure.
Yep. Thanks. Yep. So, you know, we did a SRO. We did a whole school safety data review, which we had to do last year. Was the first time we had to do it, and basically it boiled down to choices on what we wanted to do with our SRO. So schools were given the option to, you know, either keep their 2, keep 1, trade in both, and they would get some money back. And so, long story short, we went out with we put out staff surveys, parents and community surveys, and then student surveys as well. And for each of the surveys, they turned back that there was an increase between 2021 and 2022 in the expressed need for SROs. And because of that, since we had already gone forward with moving forward with one SR, with keeping both SROs, if we kept both SROs in 2021 and there was only an increase in desire for SROs, to do anything other than keep 2 would be going against the wishes of and the voice of our student, staff, and parents. So we made the decision to keep the plan as is, reflecting us, you know, our staff, student, and parent voice, and we have submitted that for your review.
Yeah, and I would just echo Mr. Javier. I did participate from 2 of those meetings where we did review data, where the conversation went back and forth. I will share that still yet in that conversation, we heard from the staff, right, that still yet additional security are needed in the building. There was also conversations on how do we better collaborate and build and bridge a stronger relationship with the SROs that are here. So I think those are things that I remember stuck with me from that meeting. And I think that is why the decision was made that it's been working for us. This was one of the one and only schools in the neighborhood that decided to keep SROs. We haven't had the same headaches that a lot of other schools have had in regards to the safety plan and the resource officers. So for us, right, I think as a school community, there is a benefit to continue to have this conversation and to do a vote that's right for our students and just what's happening, right, all over our city and in the world. So that's just my thought. That's what I got out of those meetings. And I believe any questions for Mr. Javier or myself that we were in those meetings? So I will go ahead then and make a motion to approve our Steinman safety plan that includes keeping 2 school resource officers.
Norma seconds the motion.
It was seconded by Mr. De Jesus, Norma. Thank you so much.
That's fine.
Open for discussion.
Just a point of clarification, for the motion, it must say, motion to approve the whole school safety plan. I included that in the email I sent to everyone before, and I mentioned at the beginning of this meeting, we did have some challenges last year during the vote because it did not specifically say approve the whole school safety plan. Just to clarify, the plan that was presented, as Ms. Valentin and Mr. Javier said, it does include 2 SROs, just to clarify, but the motion has to say to approve the whole school safety plan.
Okay, we could go on with this vote and do another motion. Close for discussion, roll call vote.
Ms. Armijo,
No?
Ms. Valentine,
No.
Mr. Keelis, Mr. Keelis, Son Davis,
No.
Mr. Keelis, Ms. Lopez,
No.
Ms. Russo,
No,
Mr. De Jesus,
No.
Ms. Hernandez,
No.
Ms. Rodriguez,
No.
9 noes, no yes, motion failed, 6:25 p.m.
All right, so I will make a motion to approve Steinman's whole school safety plan that includes keeping 2 school resource officers.
Second.
Second by Mr. De Jesus. Open for discussion. Close for discussion. Roll call vote.
Mr. Armijo,
Yes?
Ms. Valentine,
Yes.
Mr. Keelis, Son Davis, yes,
Yes.
Ms. Lopez,
Yes.
Ms. Russo,
yes,
Mr. De Jesus,
Yes.
Ms. Hernandez,
Yes.
Ms. Rodriguez,
Yes.
9 yes, no nos, motion passed, 6:26 p.m.
Thank you very much, everyone. I'd like to take a moment just to acknowledge Mr. Javier and really thank you for your leadership and your caring for our students and following through and being consistent. Your work means a tremendous amount to our school community. And, I am truly grateful. Your sincerity, your honesty, your drive is something that comes deep from the heart. And that cannot be faked, or it doesn't come naturally to everyone. All those things that you've done for our students, and I really appreciate everything you've done.
Thank you, Mr. Armijo. I just want to say too that I really appreciate the opportunities you gave me to be in positions to do that work and to trust me with those things. And so, thank you for your leadership and your guidance along the way. I know a lot of it I didn't know what I was doing, and so constantly knocking on your door must have been a headache. But I really appreciate the guidance, and I grew a lot from it this year. So thank you, and thank you everyone in attendance for supporting the work.
Thank you, Mr. Javier.
All right, I'm gonna continue on with the principal's report. We have a full agenda. As you know, I sent the budget transfers for consideration. This is the end of the year, and they have extended the budget approval transfer process until next week. So I'm just going to go ahead with the budget transfers. We already did the budget transfer for the MTSS end of year PD. So I'm going to go ahead and skip over that one. There is funding that's available for attendance office to buy postage, $340 to buy postage. Previous years, postage lines is what we used to use, but now since Office Depot sells postage, that is now considered a supply, and they won't allow us to buy it unless it's on a supply line. So I would like to make a motion to transfer $340 to transfer tenant's office postage funding into a supply line so stamps can be purchased. Do I have a second? You're on mute.
We got a second. It was Mr. De Jesus. Open for discussion.
My question is, we just bought a lot of stamps. They can use the same stamps that we bought in the office, or they different?
This is what the funding was allocated for
So
tenant's office postage.
No, I got that, sir. What I'm saying is, I know you allocated for that. That means we have excess of stamps now compared to what we already have in the main office. That was just my question.
There's never an excess of stamps. You could ask Mr. De Jesus, how many stamps do we go through a year? How many times do we have to repurchase stamps? There's never an excess. Plus, there are mailings that need to go home that are not attendance related, which are the report cards. That takes approximately 1,500 stamps. I'm sorry, 1,100 stamps, and other mailings through summer and different things. So, vote it up or vote it down. It's up to you guys.
Yeah, but just to be clear, this is money that was already for postage. You're just transferring it because CPS is requiring it to be under the supply line. So there's not that you're taking funding from somewhere else to put into postage. Is that you're just changing it from the line because you won't be able to spend it otherwise based on the CPS guidelines, correct?
That's correct.
And I got it, sir, but when you said vote it up or vote it down, it was just a question. Okay?
Close for discussion. Roll call vote.
Mr. Jaramillo?
Yes.
Ms. Valentine?
Yes.
Mr. Keelis?
Yes.
Sergeant Davis? Yes. Ms. Lopez?
Yes.
Ms. Russo?
Yes.
Mr. De Jesus?
Yes.
Ms. Hernandez?
Yes.
Ms. Rodriguez?
Abstain.
8 yes, 1 abstain. Motion passed, 6:31 p.m.
All right, thank you. The next budget transfer for consideration, there's 2 budget transfers, one for $112.70 and one for $66.92. It's to clear the negative. Transfer funding from instructional materials line to clear the negative in a bucket pointer line, and then transfer funding from miscellaneous line to clear the negative in bucket pointer line. So I'd like to make a motion to pass the 2 transfers to clear the negatives as outlined on the screen.
Second.
Open for discussion. Mr. Jaramillo, explain that a little bit more.
Bucket pointer.
Yeah, like a little bit more clear it, more understanding.
Yeah,
Yes, sorry.
we've done this in the past multiple times. The bucket pointer lines, they basically are attributed to positions, and what happens is that sometimes those buckets go negative because they still pay out the salary even though it's not, there's not enough funding on there. So what happens is the business service center sometimes will come back and tell us we have to clear the negatives because staff members already have been paid out for their salaries, and so we have to come back and for benefits or for hourly or whatever it may be, and we have to come back and clear those negatives. So they tell us where to pull the funding from, and then we have to clear those negatives because people already have been paid.
So CPS makes a recommendation of what bucket to take this funding from.
Correct.
So why didn't they do that? You know how we had a couple last month, the whole issue with salaries and that they took some money because of salary. How were they able to catch that now but didn't catch that last year? And it was a way more bigger amount. I'm just curious.
I don't have an answer for you.
But you know where I'm coming from, right?
I understand what you're asking. I don't have an answer for you.
Any other discussion? Roll call vote.
Mr. Armiel,
Yes.
Ms. Valentine,
Come back to me. I'm back and forth with this.
Mr. Keelis,
Abstain.
Sergeant Davis abstain. Ms. Lopez,
Abstain.
Ms. Russo,
Yes.
Mr. DeSouza,
Yes.
Ms. Hernandez,
Abstain.
Ms. Rodriguez,
Abstain.
and Ms. Valentine.
Yeah, I have to abstain.
3 yes, 6 abstain. Motion failed. 6:34 p.m.
All right, the next one is we've been invoiced from the College Board, which provides the SAT, PSAT testing materials. So we have to pay this this outstanding bill from the College Board. So there's 3 different budget transfers here for consideration. As I had said to everyone, the graduation photos that we originally had a quote for 4,000 and it came out to 3,000. So we have 1,000 that was left over in that funding line. And so we have to move that out of that photo line, and it has to be used. Next is 3,341.60. This is all part of the same bill for College Board, but it's divided up into different transfers and lines. It's from a miscellaneous account to pay PSAT testing. There was an adjustment that was made from the printing services contract that we have with RICO, and they gave us back money because we didn't use as much in printing this year. So that's why that money is on a miscellaneous line. So that money has to be reallocated somewhere. So the bulk of the College Board processing for the funding would be from that line. Then $160, which is the difference remaining from a miscellaneous account to pay for AP exams. So I'd like to make a motion to approve the budget transfers to pay the College Board for the PSAT and AP exams.
I'll second that.
Open for discussion.
Mr. Armiel, just to clarify, we do not charge our students to take the AP exam, is that correct?
That's correct.
Any other discussion?
What was the question? What was the comment that Ms. Russo said?
My comment was that we, unlike other schools, do not charge our students to take the AP exams. So the money, we do have to pay for those. So I just wanted to make sure that we understand why this has to be paid for, because it's just something that we do for our students.
Do any CPS pay for AP exams?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, my sister's son just paid for a couple of them, yes.
Charters pay for it too.
I know charter does.
Close for discussion. Roll call vote.
Mr. Harmiel,
Yes.
Ms. Valentine,
Yes.
Mr. Keelis. Mr. Keelis,
Yes, I'm sorry. I'm having problems with my phone.
Sergeant Davis, yes. Ms. Lopez,
Yes.
Ms. Russo,
Yes.
Mr. DeSouza,
Yes.
Ms. Hernandez,
Abstain.
Ms. Rodriguez,
Abstain.
7 yes, 2 abstain, motion passed. 6:38 p.m.
The next budget transfer, oops, I'm sorry. Ms. Dearden Jackson has raised her hand.
A reminder for budget transfers, you need a supermajority of the quorum which is 8 plus 1, which is 9.
Is that a change of funding though? Yeah, we did. So it's a change of funding. Yes. So the motion failed at 6:39 p.m.
All right, next is transfer consideration for $1,400 to transfer funds from remaining sports service space rental to pay for Pentegra to fix the sound system in the main auditorium. So Pentegra was supposed to come out, and they told us that they hadn't finished billing us for the remainder of the PO from the previous repairs. The day they were supposed to come out, they didn't come out, and then they said that we need to generate another PO for them. So just to clarify, the sports service space rental, that was funding that I had requested from the LSC earlier in the year in order for the bowling team to be able to practice at Waveland and rent the facilities, the lanes, to practice and for their games. All that funding was not used. So we're just requesting for that difference from that so that we don't lose the money by the end of the year. So I'd like to make a motion to approve the budget transfer, $1,400 transfer funds from sports service space rental to pay Pentegra to fix the sound system in the main auditorium.
Second.
Open for discussion.
Ms. Rodriguez, raise your hand.
Yes. How long has the sound system in the auditorium been in need of repair? For how long?
Probably right before the pandemic. And what happened is that there were different updates. The two different systems were not working, the one in 122 and the one in the main auditorium. The one in 122 is now working. There was we have to pay for the labor that was taken care of. The equipment was under warranty. It was sent back to the manufacturer, and they refixed it and everything else, and then reinstalled it. So it's been quite a while.
Thank you.
I will say, as a senior parent, I would love to see that equipment be repaired because I saw such a great award ceremony, but then lacking our system. So since it's taking away from something that we've invested so much, which is sports related, I feel comfortable with this vote because it's just going to something that not just the sports department is going to be able to utilize, but it's a whole school. So I could see us having rallies back in that auditorium and just having the sound system we need so people could hear us. So seeing where the transfer is coming from, I feel pretty comfortable.
Mr. Quiles raised his hand.
Yeah, I have a question. I mean, I heard that some sound system at the auditorium was missing. Could you clear that out? Because, if it was missing, how could we repair something that's not there?
I did clarify this with Ms. Valentine. I did call her personally and let her know that information that you have, that's part of the sound system from the main auditorium are missing, is incorrect. It's false information. So I'm not sure who gave you that information, but it's not correct information. All the parts of the equipment are still there. They have been there this entire time. And I don't know what more to tell you about it, but the equipment, it did not go missing.
Okay, that's fine, because I mean, if we're asking to repair, but then the word was that there was a missing. I just wanted to clear that out before I do my vote.
Yeah, and Jose, that's a great point, and I do want to thank Mr. Jaramillo for following up after the fact. It is frustrating, right, that some of the people that said it was missing are the people that touched this equipment, but I'm not even going to go there at this time. What I would recommend is that we do an inventory, talking to CPS and other principals in other schools. When they have items that have value, they have an inventory. So then if you have 5 mics, that you have 5 mics every year. If you have a mixer that you have, 2, then you mark it. So I think from this experience, a little too late for this council, but it's do an inventory of what's in the school. So when things are said they're missing by those that use those equipments, then we don't have the doubt. So because there's not an inventory, I haven't seen an inventory. I can't say that's true or not, but I have to take the word of my principal and says that nothing's missing, then nothing's missing, right? But next year when it's missing, it's documented, it's recorded. We could go free and knowing that we did our part and we questioned them.
So I would like to clarify that there was something missing, but it was not the soundboard, which somebody quoted as a $5,000 soundboard. What was missing was a simple portable, about 2-channel mixer. The value, I think it was estimated $100, $150. That's what was missing. A police report was completed, but not a $5,000 mixer, not the main mixer for the main auditorium. All of the equipment to run the main auditorium is still there. It's still in the rack. It's still behind stage in the cage. And I invite any council member who would like to come visit. I will walk you through the cage personally and show you all the equipment that's still there to run the main auditorium.
Any other comments? Close for discussion, roll call vote.
Mr. Armia,
Yes?
Ms. Valentine,
Yes.
Mr. Keelis,
Yes.
Sergeant Davis, yes. Ms. Lopez,
Yes.
Ms. Russo,
Yes.
Mr. DeSuze,
Yeah.
Ms. Hernandez,
Yes.
and Ms. Rodriguez.
Yes.
9 yes, no nos, motion passed, 6:45 p.m.
All right, thank you. The next one to consider is 3 separate transfers. This is for the renewal of the school website. If I'm not trying to scare anybody or anything like that, but the renewal, it ends at the end of this school year, fiscal year, I should say. And so if we don't renew it July 1st, they will turn off the school website. So this is something that we always have to do every year and renew the website. They usually wait till next year. This year, they said that there's an agreement with CPS that allows them to go ahead and do that now so that they can keep all the websites online. So the first one is there was still funding remaining from the sports pupil transportation line. So we'd like to take $3,056.50 from that line to pay for the school website renewal, $450 from sports seminar fee subscription to pay for school website renewal, and then $63.50 from sports service space rental to pay for the school website renewal. So I would like to make a motion to approve the 3 transfers as presented in order to renew the school website.
Mr. DeSuze, second.
Open for discussion.
I just have a question. I understand we do use our website, and I know we need to maximize the use of the website, definitely. But what do we get for this money as it relates to the website, other than having being parked on the server? What do they maintenance, upgrades throughout the year? I mean, what do we get?
I would have to look at the agreement to give you an outline of everything they do, but they maintain the website. They give us the space. They do any type of service that we need as far as updates, upgrades, changing the format. That's all managed by them, and they're the same company that does most of CPS.
Roger, sir.
Any other discussion?
Yes, I have a question. I'm sorry, Cassandra. So we are paying this money to CPS to keep the website?
No, it's to Educational Networks is the name of the company. They're the one that's been approved and contracted by CPS to maintain the websites.
Okay, thank you.
Host and maintain, I should say. And Mr. Hernandez had her hand up.
Yes, just a quick question. When exactly does the website go down if we don't renew it?
I believe it's July 1st.
Okay, thank you.
So I will say, as someone that loves to refer people to our website, I think we have one of the nicest school websites that someone could have. I mean, not perfect, of course not. I also think about a new administrator coming in July 1st, and the first thing is, bam, you don't have a website, a school website. That's the first critic she will probably get, not understanding that there was a vote around it. So I definitely see this being not the biggest priority, but something to continue to maintain the school in its radar, right? As parents are searching for high schools for their students and all of that. So I think that's an investment, right? That costly, but maybe needed.
I'll say this, whenever I need to find something for any team or sport or school that I'm looking for, the first place I go is their website. So I'm quite sure that parents do the same thing when they're looking to find out information about our school, when things are happening, what the school is all about. The first place, they're not gonna call somebody, they're not gonna call the school. First place they're gonna go is the website. And so having a good website, I think, is really important.
Ms. Rodriguez, raise your hand.
Ms. Rodriguez?
Oh, sorry, I was still on mute. I just have a question regarding the vendor. So they have fees individually with each school under CPS rather than district-wide?
That's correct. Each school has to pay for the website.
Okay.
And some websites are bad because of it. And Ms. Rodriguez, if you glance at some of even our neighborhood schools in the area, some are like really bad websites because, right, they have to pick and choose on the funding. But I think for us being a high school, it's to Ms. Russo's point, I said it before too, when we look, we're gonna look for the website, what's attracting, what's there, what programs. And I think that's an avenue that a lot of people these days are using versus going to the campus and meeting it for itself. So it's the only thing I think about around the website.
Thank you.
Close for discussion. Roll call vote.
Ms. Carmio,
Yes.
Ms. Valentin,
Yes.
Mr. Keeling,
Yes.
Sergeant Davis, yes. Ms. Lopez,
Yes.
Ms. Russo,
Yes,
Mr. De Jesus,
Yes.
Ms. Hernandez,
Yes.
Ms. Rodriguez,
Yes.
9 yes, no nos, motion passed, 6:51 p.m.
All right, the next transfer for consideration is for sustainable community schools. They want to transfer funding from, the first one is from a service line for SCS to supply line in the amount of $4,500. The second one is from transportation in the amount of $2,079.87. So sustainable schools transportation line to a supply line, and then $3,000 from sustainable schools from a services line to a supplies line. So for consideration, I would like to make a motion to approve the budget transfers for SCS supplies as presented on the screen.
We want to transfer.
oh. I second.
So, yeah.
Yeah, because they're not using transportation. Got it. Also a second.
Ms. Russo, second.
So it was a motion by Mr. Jaramillo and second by Ms. Russo. Open for discussion?
Ms. Hernandez has her hand raised.
Thank you. Just a quick question. Do we have some kind of itemized list? I'm feeling a little uncomfortable just with handing over like a blank check just to purchase supplies, but we really don't know what kind of supplies these are for or for what programs.
So they're for various programs, but give me some time. I'll read you the list. 2 Blick acrylic primed cotton canvas, lightweight, 54 inches by 6-yard acrylic primed by the roll for $141. Dynasty Eye of the Tiger brush set, filberts and angulars set of 96, one for $120.65. Dynasty Eye of the Tiger brush set, round set of 96, $149.23. Dynasty Eye of the Tiger brush set shaders set of 96, $152.15. Createx Wicked Colors Airbrush 2-ounce set of 17 Drew Blair, quantity 5 sets, $328.50. Createx Wicked Colors Airbrush Colors Opaque Color set of 12 2-ounce bottles, quantity 5, for a total of $290. Blick Acrylic Student Acrylics Violet half gallon, quantity 3, $51.48. Big Acrylic Student Acrylics Turquoise half gallon, quantity 3, $51.48. Blick Acrylic Student Acrylics Fluorescent Violet half gallon, 3, $50.07. Same thing, but in fluorescent, $50.07. Fluorescent pink, then fluorescent green for $50.07. Then fire red, $51.48. Cobalt blue, $51.48. Chrome yellow, $51.48. Chrome orange, $51.48. Bright red, $51.48. Blackout white, $51.48. And one of the projects they will be working on is to paint plain white shoes, canvas shoes, and design. Students make their own design. Size 10, 5 shoes, $49.95 total. And then size 6 white, quantity 5, $49.95. They're also going to be making shirts on Cricut machines and painting as well. 10 extra large shirts, $59.90. 10 white small, $59.90. 10 white large, $59.90. 10 white medium, $59.90. And then Blick Airbrush Essentials Kit, 6 sets, which includes, looks like there's the actual pump, all the supplies for airbrushing, some kind of palette, and sample kits of paint. Each kit is $407 for a total of $2,442. The subtotal for that particular order is $4,525.38. I will go ahead and now read you the second order. The second order is for 3 maker bots.
Neil, I hate to interrupt you, but it's all arts. What programs is this funding after school? Because Sustainable School Grant for me, right, is to make programming for the kids that are attracting the kids. All this is art supplies. So what program is these transfers going to fund?
This is based off of the kids' interest in requesting airbrushing, and then working on the Cricut machines. This next order has a lot of supplies for the Cricut, such as the vinyls, the adhesives, the blades, the wheels, so on and so forth. So these are the projects that the kids are already working on. And they want to continue doing these projects, so they need the shirts to do the Cricut projects and to cut out the materials and iron them on and all that other stuff. So this is a combination, and as well as purchasing some of the ink cartridges for the large plotter printers.
So I know that we have gaming. I know that we have all these after school. What program are all these transfer going to fund? Are we having a new airbrushing class? Like who is this going to?
Yes, there's the
we have a lot of different programs that could benefit from funding.
There's the 3D printing. There's the airbrush that there's those same students that did the special art projects are the ones that did the senior class graduation project on the garage door. There's see here. The other one is the club that's working on the Cricut supplies and making their own custom shirts. I don't know if I'm answering your question or not. So.
Yeah, I guess I'm not clear of what programs we have after school anyways, but it's okay. You tried and you gave us a list. It sounds all like artwork to me, so it's fine. Any other questions?
materials to be able to use a lot of the things that are in the STEAM lab. So if we're gonna use them, we're gonna need that stuff.
But how is then that gonna benefit the entire school community, right?
Well, but I mean, a lot of the things that they're talking about, being able to make decals, to make different things, I would imagine that in some way they will. I don't know if they have a specific
But that's for,
list of.
but that's for sustainable school, which means it's for their after-school program.
Correct.
Who's running that after-school
That
program?
particular
I didn't
program.
even,
Luigi runs that.
I didn't
that
even know they
program.
had
Luigi
that.
runs that
So
one?
Luigi runs that program with Gonzalez, and they have the art club, and I remember talking to Luigi about what they were planning on doing. He spoke about wanting to have some murals around the hallway, like, you know, when Brandon did the
So a
French
lot of
fries right
school
here by-
beautification.
yeah, the kids were gonna do murals and stuff, so I'm guessing that's maybe some of the airbrushing stuff and all that.
So if you guys are talking about projects, in addition to that, they have teamed up with Mr. Edwards, and I believe it's, I don't remember, I think it's Mrs. Zambrano, that does the cricket work, and Ms. Wemmers for the students to design their own shirts and to design their own, whatever they want to print out on the cricket and so on and so forth, and do their transfers and the decals. So those are all consumables for these programs for the students to be able to do their projects.
So I know this year they did the garage door. Great, excellent. Thank you so much. So that means next year, are they gonna do things for the senior class? Are they gonna collaborate with doing some of those things out of, the STEAM 3D printer? Like, I just don't know. We have $500,000 in after-school programming. I don't even know where it's going. And if this is going to benefit the students, I'm all for it, but I just don't see it. I don't see it in our hallways. I saw the garage, nice. But yeah, it's just a lot of money. And again, none of them participate from our LSC meetings to report on what they're doing, what's working and not working with sustainable schools. So I'm just concerned. So please have note, the people that run these programs, they should be more proactive. So then when these votes come up, then we don't have an issue in voting because we know what you're doing for the school community overall.
Ms. Rodriguez has her hand raised.
Yes. Regarding the garage door, are students doing that collectively, or is it one person that's hired to do the mural?
There's about 5 kids that are watched over by Mr. Gonzalez, who's the after-school programs coordinator, that are part of the art club, and with Mr. DeCotu, Mr. Luigi, that did that project. I want to say it took them about 2 weeks or so right before graduation. And the project is that because the senior shirt is the same theme of the garage door, but it was done maybe like 5 or 6 students or something like that.
And it was 2 weeks prior to graduation, you said?
Yeah. So I think it was completed, I don't know, Ms. Radamir, the exact date, but I thought I saw it completed a week prior to graduation, I think.
Yeah, I think I saw the day before graduation, it was still in a preliminary stage.
Yeah, and I don't think they met every day after school. I think they met a few times a week. And obviously with weather pending and stuff like that, when we had that 1 week where it was raining a lot, they couldn't get a lot done. But like Ms. Valentine said, if Mr. Gonzalez was here, he could probably give you more information. So I'm just giving you the information that I saw driving out and, just observing all the time. And I know a couple of the kids that are in that program, I've worked closely with, and they're really talented when it comes to doing all that good stuff, and they're really excited about that program.
Mm-hmm. Will these transfers, will they be available to be made next month on these specific funds when the new LSC and principal take over, or is it something that is going to be lost if we don't do it before July 1st?
This is the end of year spending. Once again, this funding, we don't transfer it, we don't use it, we lose it.
Thank you.
Yeah, before I turn into Ms. Zambrano too, and again, I support STEAM. We fought hard for STEAM. This sounds like STEAM materials. You still haven't told me, is there a STEAM after school program? And if there is, why in heck the community doesn't know about it?
I didn't say there was a STEAM after school program.
It's all for STEAM, so I'm trying to put it together, right? So
This is not,
this is for STEAM.
no, STEAM is not a standalone separate program. STEAM is something that integrates into everything we do. So
Okay. Are you operating after school? Because the CSI is for after school.
no, it's not. Part of the funding for CSI.
Part of what we've been using it, Mr. Adamillo, has been for after school programming. And the staffing that's requesting this works after school with the students. So I'm trying to see what program is this going to fund. So maybe there's a teacher or someone that raised their hand, they could answer that.
I don't know if it's customary to allow individuals to talk that are not. We're in the middle of a discussion here.
That's
I mean, if you want to allow,
you're absolutely right. You can't speak.
I'm sorry.
You're absolutely right.
But if you want to allow her, go ahead. I mean, it's up to you.
It's not going to change my vote. So
I would like to hear the teacher. If the council allows it, it gives me more clarity of what I'm voting for.
what's the name of the teacher? Ms. Zambrano?
Okay, hi. Sorry, I'm cooking dinner, so if you guys hear any weird noises in the background, I'm sorry. I'm doing my best. I can't speak to the art materials. I was just like raising my hand because you said that the people that are doing the after school stuff haven't been participating, and I just wanted y'all to know that I am here and that there is like community school stuff that's being paid for. I don't know if you guys are going to talk about it again. I just got after doing the club. But there is like a large amount of money that's going towards a field trip that we're taking them on this weekend. The club is what I'm in charge of. One of the things, and then there's a large amount of money that has gone into like buying them pizza and making sure they're good and all the equipment. But again, I wanted to make it known that I'm here, I am participating, and that they have funded a lot of stuff for my kids this year.
Zambrano, which club are you leading?
The gaming in general, and then I do Girls Who Game.
Oh yeah. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. You can't answer that.
If I may, I think that something that we do need to consider going forward as a school is most groups should be coming to the meetings regularly. So departments, it's something that we did before and something that should be looked at in the future. Departments, clubs, groups, any organization that does something with kids should be reporting out to the council on a regular or semi-regular basis. So that's just something to consider for the future LSCs, so that we know what's going on and so that there's clarity. I think that's just a good idea.
Yeah, I appreciate that feedback, Ms. Russo. I think you're right on. Someone raised their hand. No?
No, I think we're just.
Okay. Any other discussion?
You know, I can just say what's more alarming, and I hate to say this, and I look at my colleagues' faces, and if we're confused and we haven't heard, and we've been here almost every day, we know about the paint, and we know about all the other things. I just think it's important that if it's in silos, that means every student will have an opportunity to participate, and that's the only issue. That's the issue I have, with the paint and those things, because maybe we should have signs in the building. I haven't heard any announcement. Maybe sometimes I don't hear things. I'm not for sure. But I think this sustainable community grant is for all students, not just for some teacher or some individual to say, I have an idea for this and I'm going to get the students around me. Mm-hmm. And I think that if we're doing that, we're working in silos, and this grant is not supporting all students. And that's just my thought, because I look at, again, the teachers and the staff in here, and we asking questions that we probably should know some answers to. But sometimes we're out of the loop because we choose to be out of the loop, and sometimes we just out of the loop.
There's been times where I've made announcements for like art
club. I've heard that one a number of times
and stuff like that. The only issue is
for sure, I know.
The only issue is that there needs to be a little bit more
a better job of recruiting those individuals
around the building, because a lot of the kids unfortunately either might have headphones or are talking so loud with their peers that they don't hear the intercom and stuff like that. So the kids that get put into these programs, it's a lot of word of mouth because somebody else pulls them in, or another
sure.
friend or
We
something
can do a
like
lot of
that. So I completely understand what Master Sergeant is saying. We need to do a better job to let our kids know and communicate it more, and even communicate it more to the parents so they know that the kids have an opportunity to join something like art club and stuff like that. Because some kids that I never would have thought know how to play the piano, and they have the DJ club or the piano club with Mr. Sandoval as something that they, I mean, it might be just DJ, if I just say the piano because they do the whole keyboard thing, but it's something that they really, really enjoy, and they've created a lot of musical content together with the DJ crew and all that.
And the Girls in Gaming was an all-out bliss to recruit those students, and that was different.
Yeah.
The art was
and it
different.
grew because they talked to
did.
pull people in.
But the art was different, and that was just my.
Well, that's
thought.
probably because Ms. Zambrano is leading it and she's going out there and reaching out to the student. This grant pays for a coordinator of programs, so maybe it's not so much the grant, it's the issue with the person that's coordinating, right?
It was even the announcement with the Girl with Gaming was pretty thorough.
Yeah.
Mr. Keelis has his hand raised.
The truth is true. Jose?
Yes, I heard Mr. Jaramillo say that if we don't use this money, we lose it. My question is that if we do not, if say that this doesn't pass, where could they allocate that money towards?
The money, it was put into different lines, as you can see. One for services, meaning to hire an outside organization for whatever it was outlined for. Transportation, which all that funding was not used this year for transportation. And again, the third one was for services. So if you don't approve it, then you can't spend it on something that's not services, not transportation, because it's not in the correct line. So at this point, I mean, we can't just start purchasing $2,000 worth of buses for no field trips or ask them to keep it in reserve for next year. So that's just money that's left over for that particular category.
I think Ms. Albazuras has her hand,
Ms.
but
A.
but are we allowing?
Yeah, no, I think we gave Zambrano big.
So what I would also say is that, okay, the money has to be spent, and I think if we're there to spend the money for the kids, I think we should give the kids the opportunity to use and take advantage of that. But it would be, we don't want to say that this program is not a successful program, and we don't want it to be a failure program down the line for the next administration. So I think that whatever Jaramillo is putting together should be in the vision of how we're going to be working with our kids, with the administration to come. So I would give it a lot of thought on that. I'm for the kids. That's all I gotta say.
To be clear to you, Jose, we don't know what program this is going to. This is just materials, okay? So we don't know. This transfer would be a good faith transfer because who's gonna be accountable and watching what comes in, how do they use it, where did it go? If we have programs and yet the coordinator, we don't even know what's going on with the program, there's an issue there. So I appreciate your opinion. You have a vote to cast and you're able to cast your vote however you like to do that. Cassandra?
I'm just going to echo, as much as I hate saying this, but at the end of the day, it's about the kids, right? And regardless if there's a program or not in place for this, this could be something down the line. I agree with you 100%, Vane, that the communication needs to be there. I think they need to be more involved in our council meetings. We need to know what's going on, or the next council does. And this needs to be inclusive for, again, all students, not work in silos, but I have to stick with the kids. And if this is something that they could use materials on, whether it be some kind of program the line, and it's going to keep a kid off the street, then I'm all for it.
You know,
Yeah.
hearing some of the concerns regarding materials walking away and all this other stuff, you know, if it would give you some kind of reassurance, I mean, I won't be here, but I can ask somebody or ask the materials to be locked up so the council could come in and do inventory or keep the sheets or whatever it is that, you know, however it is, so that you know, so that you can work with the next administration and the coordinator to then monitor the distribution of materials. I mean, however you want to do it, but I want to ensure you that these materials come to the school, they stay to the school, and this is used by the students. This is not something that, like, I don't know, disappears. I mean, these are supplies for the kids. So however you suggest we do that, I mean, I can make that suggestion, and maybe have things locked up by the engineers so that you guys could look at it and inventory it later, however you want to do it, if that gives you a little more confidence.
Yeah, I want to acknowledge that we have Anna that raised her hand, and I know that we allowed Ms. Zambrano because she identified herself as running after school program, and that's part of the discussion. If you do not, Anna, run any of those programs, then I will not be able to give you the floor. But if you want to follow up later, we're more than happy to take your comments.
I do work with the cosplay club.
With the what?
The cosplay. That's an after-school program.
Yeah, if you want to explain a little bit what that is, because
cosplay started out. I want to say maybe sometime in November, December. It is a club that where students. We don't have a lot of students because some of them don't want to say that they like anime or they like, comics. So they can create their own costumes and play things out. They have design costumes. We watch anime. The reason we are watching anime is because we ordered supplies and we didn't get the supplies needed. So as far as funding, I would like to see that money transferred because I also, aside from the cosplay, the girls that are there also want to do a drama club next year. And I already reached out to Luigi and talked to him about it. And he said, we should definitely do it. It's something that interests the students. I have asked them to go ahead and, start recruiting students now that they know that would want to join a drama club or come, and we can even combine like the cosplay club with the drama club. So there is interest from the students. It's just a matter of getting out there and getting the word out. I feel that especially for one of my students who is in a self-contained class with me, he was very introvert. And this club has helped him become a little more extrovert. He seems to be excited. He comes every week. And it has helped him, and it has helped his self-esteem, and it has helped him emotionally and just being an overall happy person instead of coming in with a frown on his face, being unhappy every day. So I have seen the change in a lot of those students. I see the change in some of especially my freshmen, who I see them in class a certain way, but when I see them in a club setting, she is completely different. And that just brings joy to my heart. So having that money allocated to see that change firsthand would be amazing.
Anna, so Anna, out of the transfer, which amount is going to your program?
I wouldn't know that.
That's the issue. That's the issue and the hesitation of the voting. When you have 3 different buckets and you're transferring money, All I want is clarification to what program is that money going towards?
And I think that maybe just an idea there. And I'm not part of the LSC. I'm not part of the administration. I think that then that is something that would need to be talked to with the person in charge or the coordinators of the after school program. Perhaps make it a clause, perhaps add something to there that money needs to be allocated to, equity maybe across the board for all the clubs that are after school, which would be the fairest thing to do.
So I want you to understand my hesitation, and to the rest of the council, my priority is the kids. My hesitation, what program is these different amounts is going to, and are you gonna get the materials to do costume with students? Because we could vote and you may not get the materials you need to do costumes. So that, if I will get that information, I will be more comfortable in casting my vote. I'm speaking for Vanessa Valentine, not anyone else.
I understand, and I understand that perfectly well. I would like to think that we are in a place where we would think of everyone the same and do it equity. I would like, and I don't know who's in charge. Once you approve it, I don't know who is in charge of distributing that money. I don't know if it's the coordinators or the next admin, but I would like to think that they would be fair and do it across the board. And that's just me, being someone who likes to see things fairly done.
Can I ask Miss?
Ms. Rodriguez has her hands on, and we'll come back to you.
Okay, no problem.
Ms. Rodriguez.
Okay, I just have a question. So isn't sustainable, I know we're describing all these art supplies, and as Ms. A was talking about anime and cosplay, but isn't sustainable grants supposed to be used for projects that make your environment more sustainable? Like maybe redesigning your garden beds, planting flowers, fruit seeds, vegetable seeds. That's what I have in mind as far as sustainable. So I'm not sure if some of these supplies that we're speaking of fall under that category, unless I don't really understand the definition of sustainable school grant.
No, that sustainable school grant is not about growing stuff and like that can reproduce itself and like sustainable foods. This is about creating programs that exist in a school that once the funding is pulled after this grant is over, that they may sustain themselves and continue functioning because the infrastructure is already there, whether it be investing in equipment, investing in training personnel, investing in, let's say, even as far as building like discipline and positive reinforcement. And there's a whole bunch of different areas, but this is not specifically about like getting supplies that will grow themselves and seeds and stuff like that.
Okay, thank you. I was thinking in as the definition of sustainability. Thank you.
Did Mr. Quiles have something? Was he done?
Mr. Quiles, were you done, or you have another comment before we close this discussion? You're good? Okay, close for discussion, roll call vote.
Mr. Harmil,
Yes.
Ms. Valentine,
Abstain.
Mr. Keelis, Sergeant Davis, abstain. Ms. Lopez, Ms. Lopez, Ms. Russo,
Yes.
Mr. De Jesus,
Yes.
Ms. Hernandez,
Yes.
Ms. Rodriguez,
Abstain.
Mr. Keelis, you there? And Ms. Lopez. 4 yes, 3 abstain. There was 2 non-votes. Motion failed, 7:23 p.m.
All right, and the last budget transfer for your consideration is for transitional math, $510.36 to transfer transitional math grant equipment funding to a supply account to purchase gifts for seniors in the transitional math class. What happened with this was that there was certain equipment and toner and different things that were going to be purchased for the transitional math class. Unfortunately, the distributor no longer supplied that particular printer, so they couldn't buy the ink cartridges needed for that. So what they suggested is they would like to take this grant money that it was awarded to Ms. Jackson and her transitional math class, so she could buy gifts for seniors. Even though seniors are gone, she will make sure that the seniors receive their gifts from the transitional math class. So I'd like to make a motion to approve the transfer of $510.36 for the transitional math grant equipment to a supply line as presented on the screen.
Second.
Second by Mr. De Jesus. Open for discussion. Close for discussion. Roll call vote.
Mr. Armia,
Yes.
Ms. Valentine,
Yes.
Mr. Keelis. Son Davis, yes. Ms. Lopez. Mr. De Jesus,
Yes.
Ms. Hernandez,
Yes.
Ms. Rodriguez,
Abstain.
You skipped me.
and Ms.
Ms.
Russo.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, Mr.
No
Ms. Jose said yes. Ms. Lopez, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, Ms. Lopez, you there? 7 yes, 1 abstain, 1 non-vote. Motion failed at 7:25 p.m.
All right, and then lastly, I would like to make a motion to approve the internal accounts as presented that were sent to all LSD members.
I'll second. Open for discussion. Close for discussion. Roll call vote.
Mr. Harmel,
Yes.
Ms. Valentine,
Yes.
Mr. Keelis,
Yes.
Son Davis, yes. Ms. Lopez, Ms. Russo,
Yes.
Mr. De Jesus,
Yes.
Ms. Hernandez,
Yes.
Ms. Rodriguez.
Yes.
8 yes, no no's, 1 non-vote. Motion passed 7:26 p.m.
This is a pass.
All right, and that's the last motion that I have. Thank you very much. And that concludes my report.
Thank you, Mr. Jaramillo. Okay, so any other discussion? I don't know why we have these items under there.
No, because they was on the list. The reason we have these items because they was on the list, and I think everyone wanted the receipt. They went through the receipt. So it was the prom funding, closing that up, the graduation fund to make sure, and then I think one of the question was, did we sell any more yearbooks? All these was follow-up questions from the last meeting. So that's why I kept them on there.
So anyone has any questions in regards to prom funding, graduation funding, yearbook funding?
I just had one. We said we were gonna sell yearbooks during the graduation. That was possible. Did we sell any?
I don't think did they set it up? I didn't see it.
No, they didn't. I don't think they set it up, but a lot of the kids were buying them the day before. I'm sorry, that Thursday, Friday, they were in
That they were in the auditorium.
main office sitting up this roof up for yearbooks. And a lot of the underclassmen are starting to buy them now because there's been a couple walking around and they've seen it. So
Yeah,
now that it's
yeah.
around, they're like, oh, I want to get one.
I need to go back.
And we're trying to pump it up a little bit more so they can have it for the dance tomorrow for those kids who are here that come, so they can treat it kind of like a yearbook party to be able to be able to sign them and all that good stuff. So
So if I could clarify, There was the yearbook account that exists on internal accounts. The line was created in the system for tracking. Everybody has to buy their yearbook from the main office so they could be put on the student account and receive, and it's receipted. And then the students receive the yearbook. We decided at the last meeting it wouldn't be fair to give a discount on the yearbook, at least this year. So they're being sold at the $50 price that everybody paid, whoever purchased them. So until amounts run out, yearbooks will be available for sale to students. Well, if you guys decide at a later time to offer them at a discounted rate next year, whatever, that's up to you. But I don't have a count right now because I didn't know that question was going to be asked. But they have been selling, as Mr. Jesus can attest to. There's been more increase because even though you try to communicate it, students when they see other people with it, then they kind of get a little more interested when there's something tangible that they can look at.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. Ms. Russo, you said we have it to oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Sandra?
Yes, I have a few questions. I was looking at the itemized receipts provided, and there was some money spent on lawn signs. What happened to the lawn signs? I mean, I haven't seen any.
Great question. There was an issue with the manufacturing. They arrived yesterday, but the seniors have to pick up their diplomas on Monday. And when they pick up their diplomas, they're going to receive their lawn signs.
And for those that are not receiving a diploma?
More than welcome to come pick one up.
Okay. I have another question. On the breakdown, there's a sheet called breakdown where it breaks down all the cost. So in the spreadsheet, it says that centerpieces for prom are at no additional cost.
No, because
however, in another, in some of the notes, it says that you were asked what items are yet to be purchased for prom, and you mentioned that centerpieces are being worked on. So I'm wondering if something was missed to be included in the breakdown for some of the centerpieces.
So Ms. Rodriguez, the centerpieces were donated and done by Ms. Russo. So there shouldn't be any cost there because she covered that cost.
Okay. And then I wanted to go over, I have a question regarding the contract for the prom venue. I noticed that there is a complimentary hotel stay. Isn't that considered a gift? And it is unethical to accept the gift. Do you know the value of the room?
Nobody stayed in the hotel room. What the room is used for is a prep room. They give us that room so that those of us who went over to the hotel at 1:00 in the afternoon to set up and then stayed all the way till after midnight, never got a chance to go home. That room is a staging room where we got to go upstairs, change, leave our street clothes, and then come back downstairs. Nobody spent the night in that room. It is just used as a prep room.
Yeah, it is just the way that it's worded on there, and it's a signed contract. It says that it's an overnight stay. So the value of it is given as an overnight stay in a hotel. I can see the parking passes, complimentary passes, because, obviously there are people, staff and volunteers that do set up. So it doesn't make sense to charge for parking, but.
Parking was free for all students and anyone who went to prom. So the parking included on the contract was for everybody. So the kids who drove themselves, and there were quite a few, they got validation and did not have to pay for parking.
I'm talking specifically about the freebies, if you must. There's 4 complimentary parking passes.
It didn't matter. It was all the same parking. There were a lot of us who got there early and stayed all the way till the end. So.
Okay, I just have an issue with that because families do fund the prom, so it doesn't look very good to receive a free hotel stay. Again, the parking passes I can understand, but the free hotel room, to even include it on there, even if they're going to allow you a space to set up, that's fine. But to word it as an complimentary overnight stay implies just that. Whether anybody used it or not, it doesn't matter. It's a give, and it's stipulated in the contract, and that can be looked as an incentive to keep you guys going there every year, which happens to be the case. That's the one vendor, the one venue that you guys get every year.
So all I can say to that is, we've used that vendor for many years, and you're absolutely right. We've used them for 21 consecutive years because they have provided us really good service. We have had a really good experience there. However, certainly the new administration has the right to choose and change, and that will be something that if that new venue, whether it's a hotel, whatever, they will have to look very carefully at the contract to make sure that if a room is provided for a prep room, that it is not listed that way so that no one is offended by that. But that'll be incumbent upon the new administration who signs whatever contract they want. I just want to clarify so that you understand, however it may be worded in the contract, nobody got a free night stay at the hotel. And in fact, if we may, most of us put money of our own into being able to participate in this event. So getting free parking for the day when we were there working really, really hard all night, I don't think that's a lot to ask, but that might be another thing that in the future, whatever contract is signed, they might want to look at the verbiage more carefully.
Yes, and I will reiterate that the 4 parking passes that are complimentary are not a problem. I would think that the people that are going to set up would have a place to park. You know, the overnight stay as stipulated in the contract is an overnight stay, whether used or not. As a parent looking at this, I frown upon it. Just my opinion. I can move on to the next. Was anybody going to say anything?
I just say I do agree too, because the ethics training said the same thing that we just talked with CPS. So it should say. It should
Contract
say
was
for
signed
that.
before we did the ethics training, and so
I know,
you're
that's
absolutely
why-
right. For
yeah.
future reference, contracts should be looked at more carefully.
Okay, the next thing is, it says the tax and gratuity is not included. However, the quote in the contract is $56 a plate times the 200 agreed upon seats or participation of attendees. I'm not sure how many kids went to prom, but that's a little over $11,000.
There is gratuity. It's 23%. There's a huge gratuity. That you
Okay, I guess what I'm trying to say, if you can let me finish, is the overall cost of the venue per the contract is $14,500, and the 200 seats times $56 a plate is merely $11,000 something. So there's a difference.
I don't have the contract in front of me. Clearly, you're looking at it, but there is a gratuity. Tax is not included because but there is a gratuity, and it's something to the effect of like 22%. They don't waive the cost of paying the servers. That is a part of that. I don't have the contract in front of me, but I guarantee you that a very large portion of that will go, because I have looked at these contracts in the past, and I'm anticipating it's somewhere around 20% easily. So whatever the amount is, the hotel will wait until after the event to send a final itemized bill. So what you're seeing is a contract for minimum numbers, which was 200, and we did exceed that in paid guests. But beyond that, I have not seen the final bill, but we should have enough money to be able to cover the amount easily. Beyond that, I don't know. I don't have all the bills, but that's all I would recommend, is that there is definitely a gratuity that does get paid.
Yeah.
It is not waived.
Yeah, I think what Ms. Rodriguez said, and what I agree with what you're saying, is that if you look at the total cost where it was per plate, which was $56, you times that, you come up with $11,000. Then you put the gratuity in, it comes up to $14,000.
No.
Why is it what we're saying is for 200, the amount of people, the cost was different. That's what I'm saying. It was
I
different.
couldn't answer that. I don't have the contract.
Yeah, look at the contract.
Yeah, so thank you, Sergeant Davis, for clarifying that. I wasn't sure if I was getting my point across, but that's what I was questioning. I look at the numbers and I'm thinking that whenever anybody signs an agreement that there's of monetary value, particularly when families are funding it, that you'd make sure those numbers are correct. And in this case, they are not. So 200 plates times $56 is $11,200. Clearly not 14,500. Okay, and if you do 25%, because it's 25% tax and gratuity per the contract, times the $11,200 is $2,800 for a grand total of $14,000. So there's still $500 extra that's just up in the air. And one last thing is the $1,450 initial deposit. In that breakdown, it should have been deducted from the $14,500 total venue cost, and it's listed as an additional item. At least that's my interpretation of that spreadsheet.
We have to make it.
Go ahead, Mr. Adamir.
In order to lock in a date, Ms. Russo could attest to that, we had to put a deposit down for the venue.
And I agree. Even myself, when I book a banquet hall, in order to reserve the date, I have to put a deposit in or I lose the date. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is if you look at your breakdown spreadsheet, you have the cost at the very bottom, and it says prom venue cost, $14,500, and it says pending, and then check written for $1,450 prom deposit. So what should be pending is $14,500 minus your deposit.
That's correct.
That's all I'm saying. It was just an observation from the spreadsheet.
It's pending because, as Ms. Russo said, we're waiting for the final invoice from the hotel, from the venue.
Yes. No further comments.
Yeah, Ms. Rodriguez, thank you so much, Mr. Adamir, everyone that spoke on this. I think lesson learned, right? I think that, I again want to thank Ms. Russo. She didn't have to go in her pocket and do this. She didn't have to step in while others were stepping back to help us with this. So I think it's a lesson learned for our new administrator. This is a great recording to look back into because I think there is a lot of things that could be better, that we need to be proactive and start now. We should be fundraising, right? Something we challenged ourselves with. If we start in the beginning of the year, fundraising for prom, fundraising for graduation, I think a lot of this tension gets taken away. So then we could, instead of questioning these things, we as parents could celebrate, and so can teachers, and so can the admin. So this has been a great video, a great tool for our next administrator to use, right? And not be in the same situation next year. So thank you for pointing that out. Thank you for your thorough observation. Any other final thoughts? I make a motion to adjourn this meeting.
Second.
Open for discussion, close for discussion, and my last roll call vote.
Mr. Armil?
Yes.
Ms. Valentine?
Yes.
Mr. Keelis?
Okay.
Ms. Davis, yes. Ms. Lopez?
Okay, that's not a yes.
Ms. Russo?
Yes.
Ms.
Yes.
Hernandez?
Yes.
And Ms. Rodriguez?
Yes.
8 yes, 1 non-vote. Motion passed 7:42 p.m.
Thank you. Thank you, Cassandra, Ms. Rodriguez, and everyone in the council. Have a wonderful summer.
Thank you.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure serving with you all these past 7 years. Good luck to you, and we'll still be around.
Thank you, Cassandra.
Good evening.